I'm ready to speak English. I was recording today to Chronicle, and I thought I was going to share it to YouTube, and I'll share some of it to YouTube, but this is going on Patreon, so hello. Peace and love to you, my patrons. This is about the meditative session that brought all of it together, and I just meditated for like 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, and I had a feeling it was pretty long because I was speaking to I was speaking to every one of my guides that I call to, and I call to my guides every time I sit to do anything that requires me to intuit or discern something that I'd like guidance on. So I always call thrice to each one, and so I knew I needed to meditate, and I had just journaled, and something that I would recommend trying is that I wrote in my journal, I'm like, what did I say? Let me just read it. I said, I am grateful for the answers I am to find when I begin writing on the next page, kind of just manifesting that I'm already receiving some divine insight, and boy did I. Oh my goodness. Still integrating it in this now moment because it's only been like 5 minutes since I got out of it, but I wrote some things down in my journal just to like cement some stuff, but there's no way I was going to be able to write everything down that just happened. So what beauty and gratitude I have that I have a phone that I can record and share this, and like in one part affirm it and solidify it within myself, but then also share it with you so that you can gain your own insight through meditation, which I feel is like one of the biggest superpowers that we have available to us on this earth walk. And I don't do it enough, and I'm going to start doing it more because, oh my goodness, like I feel so much better. I feel so much more aligned and understanding of like everything that's occurring and why it's occurring. Sorry, I like keep looking at my hair because I'm still getting used to this locking process. But to make a very long story, basically long, I'm just going to kind of chronicle through what I did, and this is something that actually I can recommend for anyone to do. I'm going to try it with my partner and see how he likes it. What I've done and have done for a while now is either when I go to sit into meditation, I just kind of breathe. I just kind of connect more to my body first and feel everything. And then either I'm called to step out of my body and like touch things in the room to solidify that I'm out of my body but in the room. And then I go to the back of myself, and there's like a little door, like just a little black opening, and I slide down, like down in a little circular fashion till I pop up, and then there's an archway. It's a stone archway, and then as I walk through this archway, the first time I did it, the world created itself. I wasn't like, I want to put this here and that there. As I kind of just like surrendered and allowed, things just started forming. And I was like, oh, that's this. And then started exploring the world, touching it, looking at my hands, looking at my feet to make it more tangible. The other thing that I do is to actually get up out of my body again, touch the room, but then I like go out into the earth world, and I like go out my window and travel to a place on earth. But when I'm looking for the answers within, I go inside myself. If I kind of going into different parts of the earth, sometimes it's to light grid, I suppose. I haven't really sat with like why I go out onto earth sometimes. But definitely I recommend sliding down the little inner slide of yourself to pop up and just imagine a stone archway, and then allow whatever you walk out of to just form itself and touch it and solidify it, and then you'll find a natural place you're being guided to, and then sit and wait for your guides to show up, and they will. They might already be waiting for you too. Especially like if I haven't meditated deeply in a long time and then I go into meditation, sometimes they're there waiting for me. They're like, what have you been doing? What, did you forget? Like, you have work to do? Which is always so funny to me because it makes me feel bad. But this is something I think, like, these are one of those lessons that I have to keep integrating as I'm recognizing, oh, wow, I really am, like, doing this. This is really what I'm being called to do. This is a part of that purpose, is to sit in meditation, to recognize the value of meditating when it comes to the work that I want to do, the work that I'm here to do. And it's very valuable to speak with my guides, to understand the messages they want me to relay. And so I'm learning to honor that, and I really appreciate being gifted that awareness. So I'm going to share, oops. Oh yeah, I also just, you'll see it in the video, but I just redid my altar and tried to straighten it out. And I'm still getting used to being up here, but it definitely felt good to be up here than maybe just on the floor with all my crystals hanging around me, you know, just in some good energy. But so, yes, I go into meditation, I go into my space, I go into what it looks like, and it's been the same space ever since I created it. And typically there's this field I go to full of flowers at the end of like my whole travels through this land. There's always a field of flowers that I go to, and then usually my guides will maybe meet me right on the cliff edge there, but then sometimes I get guided to the right and there's like a huge pyramid when I look to the right, and all these little palm trees lining the pyramid, and then just like an opening to the pyramid. And today I was trying to like beeline straight to the edge, like, okay guides, what you want to say to me? And immediately I just got like a redirection. It literally felt like not like a curve, like a real curve, but just energy curve that was like, oh no, you're going that way. And so I was like, oh okay. So I turned and I went to the pyramid, and as I was walking to it, I looked down at my hands and my feet and looked at what I was wearing, and my hair was dreaded, and I was wearing all white, and I had gold on, which I don't usually wear gold, but I think I'm getting called to wear some gold. And then I go into the pyramid, I touch the walls. I always make sure to touch a lot of stuff so I can ground my energy, especially if like you happen to have any noise distractions in your physical reality. Sometimes that can jolt you out, so I really try to touch everything. So I was touching and, you know, moving down the pathway to get to the center of the pyramid. And then I get into the center of the pyramid, and there's my little staircase that goes down to the center, and then there's like 4 other staircases that usually disappear, and they did. And then I go down mine, and then there's these 4 little walkways that go to a little rectangular platform, and I usually lay on that, get beamed from this hole in the top of the pyramid, but with some star energy, and then I go into the next place. But today was different. Today I sat there, I was told to sit, and then another staircase opened up and Goddess Isis came down. And I have never seen Goddess Isis. I've always just spoken with her through Oracle or through just like, you know, intuiting what she's saying. But to like have her come and talk to me, I was like, oh snap, I know something's happening. And just recently, the other night, I had a dream where someone was taking a spell off of my back. And they were telling me, if you're interested in doing Egyptian shamanic work, recognize you're a novice in that and start slow. And I was like, so Egyptian has been coming up a lot. So I was like, okay, let me sit and see what Goddess Isis has to share with me. And so I sat there, and she came down and she sat, and it was so crazy how she did it. She essentially said, I want to thank you for surrendering and listening to what I have to say now. She's like, thank you for surrendering and listening to what I'm about to say. And it's like it's such an interesting way to word something. It's just already thank someone for what you're going to ask them to do. So I was like, oh, I think I want to try that. So she's like, thank you for surrendering and listening to what I have to say. And so I sat and I surrendered and I listened. And she was essentially expressing to me that, you know, there's like this thing that I've known for a while now that I haven't really shared, or like I don't share because it kind of just, to me it's not crazy, but to say it to someone else and it not sound crazy seems really hard to do. Unless of course I really walked someone down every single aspect of my path and everything that I saw while I was living and out of my car. But there were a lot of things I was experiencing in my car that were distortion, and a lot of things that I was experiencing that was truth. But all the truth that I had, I wasn't sure I wanted to share it yet, and so I haven't really necessarily. I kind of do by the title of the name of my YouTube channel now, and by the name of the Patreon, and by the name of my Instagram, that a lot of the signs that I was given is that in multiple past lives I have, been Persephone, and that I am Persephone. Just like, again, like I said, to say this and to express this, to me is not crazy because I understand it, and I've been given all the signs and over and over and over again so many times. And so essentially when I sat with Goddess Isis, the first thing she asked me to do and called me to do, she's like, first, I want you to understand that You've already been shown who you are. You've already connected to Water Baby Tarot, who is Ra. She is Ra conscious, like the god Ra in Egyptian mythology. She is Ra consciousness. And I am Isis, an Egyptian underworld goddess. And you have been shown that you are Persephone. So where do you feel like you're not able to sit in this knowing? Why do you not sit in who you are? And as I was like sitting and thinking about it, it's like when she talks, like you're not actually seeing her mouth move. You're just like telepathically speaking to somebody. And so I expressed that. She's like, I think a lot of the inability to stand in your truth is from the projections you fear from others, from energy outside of yourself that is not yours, which is pretty much wholly true. So I was like, okay. I was sitting with that. She's like, you've already been shown who you are. You've already been given the signs. You're aware of your past life. You're aware that you signed up for this life. You're aware that you chose to incarnate into the physical vessel of Talisa because of the day she was meant to be born on, which is the day in which you have an 8th house stellium, which is an underworld scorpionic stellium, which is a Scorpio dominant birth day. Like the chart for the day that Talisa was born is Scorpio dominant, Pluto dominant, all of these aspects that can allow a human vessel to be able to withstand the shadow and darkness that people experience and hold a space for it, and don't like take it and make it theirs. And that is something that I actually am really good at doing, but I didn't realize this isn't something that people, like just everyone, cannot do. Not that some people can't, but they're just not necessarily made for it, or it's not their path. And so I've seen a lot of traumatic stuff and been through a lot of traumatic things, and I haven't held them. The most recent thing that I held and had to release was being in the narcissistic empath relationship, because it drained so much of me and stained a lot of my experience, which I have surrendered to, and I honor that lesson, especially in terms of being able to hold space for many other empaths who find themselves in a narcissist empath relationship, which I find to be like one of the more important things that I'll be able to highlight for others. And so as I was sitting with all of this awareness of like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yep, that makes sense. She was explaining, Goddess Isis was the first goddess energy that I came into knowing before I started my spiritual journey for real, like before I went to Colorado and then like worked at the Goddess Isis crystal shop. She was the first deck that I got, and I just felt called to it. I didn't really understand why, and she was essentially letting me know, like, I have been what you are. I am what you are. I am an underworld goddess, just like Persephone was an underworld goddess, and there are a lot of things that come with being a goddess of the underworld. Don't be confused or surprised when you in experiences in this world that are difficult, that are shadowy, that hold karma, that hold things that need to be transformed, because that's what underworld goddesses do. They hold space for that. You're not always going to be the light and bright goddess, always holding, just experiencing light. You're also going to be holding place for people's shadow and for people to work through trauma. And so she was really like just hammering in the importance of recognizing and like claiming and knowing and being like, yes, okay, I'm Persephone. As crazy as that may sound to other people, I know that to be the truth. And I think it's less about trying to convince anybody else and just holding that as my truth, so I can just continue to do the work that I'm meant to do. And so I was sitting with that. I wrote some other things down. It was kind of more in like in the clarifying, like, you know this, you're aware of this, you're aware of that, so sit in this, sit in your truth, sit in your energy, sit in the role that you've chosen, sit in the role that you're aware you've chosen, and you already know you are. So like, what's stopping? She was kind of she was basically checking in on like what's been stopping me from holding my Persephone and allowing my Persephone consciousness within my physical 3D vessel. And a lot of it is outside stuff. A lot of it is knowing, and some of this is things that I've experienced. Like one time I was tripping on acid, and I remember the experience for me on acid was a blessing, because it kind of just confirmed that I was already in kind of acid energy, if that makes any sense. Like, I already had an understanding of all the things that I was experiencing on acid, or just things that we can naturally experience when we're in our highest container, when we are completely and divinely aligned and aware that everything is happening so beautifully and synchronistically and for our highest good. Should we surrender and choose to just trust and know self, inner self? And it's interesting because when I think about holding my energy as Persephone, I'm just like, there's this feeling that I'm going to make other people very uncomfortable, or in speaking my truth, I'm going to trigger so many people. And for me, it's not a fear of triggering people, but like, I just would rather have harmony and peace and balance. But I know sometimes in order to restore that balance, you need to address something that's not keeping it balanced. And so I think that's kind of like a challenge for me personally, and I'm still working on that. But this is a lot of what she shared with me, was just like, she said, before you can move on to speaking to any of your other guides or giving any other kind of insider advice on your earth path and what you're supposed to be doing, before you can know anything you're supposed to do, you have to know who you are. Before you can understand anywhere you're supposed to go, do, or be, or how to create, or how to express, or what to create, or how to create, is to first understand yourself and who you are. Because then once you understand who you are, then everything else kind of just answers itself and makes sense, and it'll either resonate or it won't based on your truth and who you are. So thank you, Goddess Isis, for coming to me and speaking with me. I'm definitely going to be doing some more research. I've already done research, but you know, it's kind of one of those things where like you read about stuff and then your brain doesn't hold it, so you got to do it again. That's just kind of, at least for me personally, sometimes things don't stick. So then after I saw Goddess Isis, I tumbled into the water, which I usually do when I'm there, like I said, and then I swim down and I go into the waters and I go into my next portal, and I'm a dolphin, and I swim as a dolphin for a little bit because it always feels so good to just be a dolphin. Really appreciate dolphin energy. And then I get onto the island, and I turn left, and I head towards what I thought was going to be the Lemurians for a moment, but it was the Arcturians first. And I think it was the Arcturians first because I've lived many lifetimes with them, and the message they had for me was the same message that they had before, which I have shared on YouTube about this meditative session, was about water, the importance of water, 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 water. That's one of the largest messages they want me to carry, and they send different messages with different people for different, you know, like, you will be in charge of the water sector, you'll be teaching about the waters, etc., and so on. And so understanding the water within and the water without. What's interesting is I got called a long time ago to try and do something for water on the YouTube channel, but I just didn't know what to do or how to do it, but I knew I needed to do something. And when I was looking up, I tried to create one ocean, one Gaia, and I remember Googling it because I was like, how many oceans are there? Because I was like, I know there's Pacific, Atlantic, but I wanted to know. And when I Googled it, it said there are 5 oceans, but one global ocean. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, it's one ocean, one people. Like, that's something that was coming out really strongly. And so I was getting a lot of insight from them and some intuition on, like, you'll understand how to do it, when to do it. All of that will flow and come. Just start to bring an awareness to it. So I got a lot of like awareness about water and activations within light language that will be spoken. It feels like maybe they'll speak a lot in light language through me, but they said that if you call to any of your guides and ask to have a message be shared from that being, then it's, as long as you surrender, they will allow the language to come through that is of them. So I didn't sit with them long, thanked them, and then continued down the other side of the island, and it like shifted behind me and turned into Lemuria. And then when it turned into Lemuria, immediately I just started celebrating and dancing, and I go like, and like just like so happy. And I was dancing with my Lemurian sisters, and we were celebrating in a circle. And I kind of already know the things that the Lemurians wanted to share with me. And Lemurian energy always just feels like, celebrate, dance, express your light, express your joy, express your song, express your truth, and like the oracle of that. So like in terms of dancing and singing, you can share some very vital, important information as you do that can be retained in a different way because of all that you're activating physically and sonically. It's just like a beautiful culmination. And so a lot of this was just confirmation, really. Excuse me, I think I need to eat my apple. A lot of it, I would peel this, but I don't want to go downstairs, so I'm gonna bless the skin. My partner's gotten me into peeling apple skin. Oh, I'm at 20 minutes. I'm gonna try and keep it to 30, but hopefully this is pretty interesting. At least the 30 minutes is all dense, great informational 30 minutes. So I go up onto this cliff top because it was time to go to the next spirit guide, which was my Pleiadians. And this is the first time I have ever beamed off of like Earth plane into the star system. So it was crazy. I got to the top of the mountain and it was like a white light vortex. It was just like, and I just like traveled for not too long, but for some time. There was a pause in the middle of the vortex where I kind of got to float and just see all the space, and then it went whoa, and then when I landed, it kind of just it like opened up and then closed behind me, so then I was just where I was, and then I got led to a crystal palace. This apple looks funny. And then I got led to this palace made of crystals, and the Pleiadians were in the back, and I was in Pleiadian human form for a bit. I got to see it and feel it, and then they led me down a crystal path in the backyard to like a crystal path that went through the woods. They said that they were going to be taking me to, I asked where I was first, and they were like, Merope, you're in Merope. So I guess I'm going to do some research about Merope. But then they led me down a crystal path that led to a crystal cave, just a cave filled with all these clear crystal points everywhere, like all over, and they said, we have come to take you to the cave so that way you're not because I've never been on the star plane before, they're like, to help ground you, you'll continue to ground and it'll be easier to ground the longer you stay here, but we're bringing you to the cave so that your energy is focused and centralized, and all of the crystal points can focus what you're receiving into your energetic vessel. I was like, okay. And when we got to the front of the crystal cave, they put their hand on this pad, and the energy from their hand went ooh, and it like vibrated all the crystals, and all the crystals started glowing. And they said like the power of the energy within the body is able to just like amplify out into crystal technology. So I was like, oh wow! I was like, it was pretty cool. I was pretty amazed. So then walking into the crystal cave, and I'm seeing all of the little crystal points, and we go into like kind of like, I guess, I don't know what size room this would be. Maybe like a living room with a tall ceiling. And there's like a little like slated curved crystal bench, and then like a big like flat smooth crystal wall, and it's like you can see yourself in it as a mirror, like clear crystal, but then also you can touch it and put things on it and like create, like vision yourself in it. And so for the Pleiadians, they gave me a lot. And I can't share it all here because it was a lot, but I will share some of the biggest nuggets that I got, which was like them helping me understand the structuring of how to do my earth work, and like understanding like the purpose of different platforms of social media and what they can do and what they offer and what I'm supposed to focus on doing with them, what I can offer in them, which was really helpful for me because a lot of like, okay, I'm choosing to just trust and do what I'm called to do and do what I'm meant to do. What am I supposed to really be doing and offering though? Like, I have all these things I like to do. Does that mean I'm supposed to be offering them? So they were giving me a lot of clarity, and not just saying like yes or no, but like putting my, like I could see my reflection of like my higher self Persephone energy in the crystal wall, and then it would show what I was doing with someone in the crystal, and then I could tell if it resonated. And they said, if it does not, if you don't feel it in your heart center and it doesn't resonate from your heart center, it's not meant for you. Because if you're not doing something from the heart, then you're not doing it from you. And if you're not doing it from you, then you're not doing it from authenticity. And if it isn't authentic, then it won't be felt, and it won't be received, and it won't make a change. It won't make a difference. I was like, that makes so much sense. I was like, thank you. So they expressed this to me, and so what I would do is I would just imagine myself doing some of the things that I said I wanted to offer. So like seeing myself offering natal chart readings. I love astrology. I love talking about astrology. I love seeing how it affects and helps and challenges us to move through this earth realm. But when I was seeing myself doing it on the crystal wall and trying to see if I felt it in my heart center, I didn't necessarily feel it as like a passion, like, oh yeah, I really want to interpret natal charts for people. Instead, what was said after I realized this, the Pleiadians then spoke and they said, allow those who have been called to be natal chart readers, those who have been called to specifically study astrology, to do that. And that's for them. That's their passion. You don't feel like you have to do it just because you know something about it. So I was grateful for that. And I kind of did that with each of my little visualizations of things I wanted to offer. They said no one-on-one distance Reiki because it needs to be in the flesh. It needs to be more personal, to come from the heart space, to really hold space for someone for what can be released through a session. So I was getting all these little insights and checking things off, and which I'm going to write down on this side of the paper because I don't want to forget it. So much about so many things, and sound healing and dance and song, and holding Reiki energy, and then speaking in light, and then activating dance, and then activating song. But they said a lot of the song is from the angelic realm. Like when I'm going to sing, when I'm speaking light language, it just comes from your throat and it opens up. But they said to go into the archangel realm next in order to receive the insight from that. And they said a lot of Pleiadians experience throat chakra blockages and stiffness in the throat, because it's a challenge to speak your truth, especially when your truth is a little, like not normal. But in speaking that truth, it opens up your throat chakra, and then you're able to truly sing from source, because a source cannot exist where where not truth lies. So if I'm not holding truth here, then source can't exist here. You get me? It was very interesting to feel and understand. And like I said, some truths I don't share because I know it's going to trigger people, and I just don't want to be triggering people, but I guess that's what I'm going to start doing sometimes. And so, yeah, that was very insightful for me. And so I got some other stuff from them, but that was, connecting, like also offering some assistance to my divine masculine, my partner, which I'll be speaking about with him so he can integrate and receive as well. So then they just pointed down a hallway. There's another little thing in this robe. I haven't eaten this because I actually want to spend the 30 minutes. If I start chewing, I'm going to get distracted. So I'm just holding the apple, and it's giving me some of its energy. So they sent me down this hallway, and it turns into light, and then it turns into just clouds. Because I was wondering, I was like, how am I going to see archangels? Like, I watched this show Supernatural, and your eyes like burn out if you see an angel. So I didn't see them. I just saw wings. I saw 2 pairs of wings and just clouds all around them. And it was Archangel Michael and Archangel Metatron. And I called to Archangel Michael every night in prayer for before bed to protect me. So I kind of do speak with him. He was speaking for Metatron, but he said once I learn more about Metatron, then Metatron will speak back to me. And I have been called to Metatron. I do call to Metatron, but I don't know a lot about Metatron. So he said, do some research about Metatron, learn some more about Metatron. So I plan to do that. And he spoke to me about some more about the throat and the voice, and that I have been gifted song and like throat energy from the angelic realm. The one of the like the ways in which I'll be able to truly make a difference is through connecting to my truth, and then allowing source and God to come through, which connects other people to their God, their source energy, allows only truth to be unveiled. And so that's a personal journey that I'm going through and working on. But I was very excited to understand that that was an important part of it. And they gifted me like a harp. They're like, there's a reason you feel called to the harp. It comes from the angelic realm. And so the harp started floating. They're like, if you truly desire to work with the harp, ask for a harp, and you will receive a harp, or an opportunity for a harp. Ask and you shall receive. That really is like a thing. And so I took the harp with me, and then Yeshua Christ came into the picture, but I didn't see him either. He was just standing in the middle. And he was letting me know that I can call to him at any time where I am on a journey where he basically was like, I lived a lifetime where I decided that my truth and my way of being and who I was and what I could do was way different than what anyone around me thought was normal. And I held that truth, and I held it in knowing and in faith, because I knew I was connected to source, connected to God. So when you're feeling like apprehensive to stand in your truth and your light because of what other people will think, call to me and I will support you. I'll be right there with you. So I was really grateful for that. And then he also told me that there's a lot of his Christ consciousness. So I'll be speaking to my partner about that. I didn't realize there's a maximum recording time reached. I think it's because I have to start deleting some videos. I'm recording a lot. So I'm gonna wrap this up really quickly. So I did that with him, and then I thanked all of them. I took the harp with me and I walked back into each place that I was, because that's what you have to do when you travel down into your spine. You got to come back up. So I traveled back and I went back through the crystal cave, down the path, said goodbye, and then I went down to the bottom and I warped back onto the earth plane. And I walked down the thing and celebrated with the Lemurians, said goodbye, walked around, thanked my Arcturians, said don't forget the water. I'm holding the harp the whole time. And then I go into the water and the harp's like hanging off my fin and I'm swimming in the water. And then I go into the next place and I sit with Goddess Isis. And I thought I was just going to wave goodbye with the harp, but she asked me to sit and play her a song. And as I sat and played the song and sang, it was like, it kind of sounded Arabic a little. It was interesting. So she asked me to sing. I think that was like a little like, hey, maybe that's someone I can call to when I ask to sing with light as well. Not just the archangels, but maybe even Goddess Isis, or just, we'll see. So I did that, and I sat and sang the harp for a moment. Then I came back up the stairs, and then I grabbed my flower that I left on the stairs, which I didn't tell you guys. And then I came through the tunnel, and I grabbed my shawl, and then I got out, and I traced everything back, came back out of my body, out of the back of me, touched some things in the room first, looked at myself sitting in meditation, then I imagined myself stepping in, and then I always just kind of gently stretch my neck. I don't immediately open my eyes. I sit for a moment, soak it in, and then I open it. And then I wrote down what I wrote down. I really have to pee. Ooh, 144. I saw it on the camera. Confirmation for me. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share all of this because I think it'd be a really useful tool for anyone to sit with themselves and go into themselves and see what you get. It's been really useful and helpful for me on this journey less traveled by, and I'm eternally grateful, and I'm so excited to see what is to come, what is to unfold. I was shown a lot of things with the Pleiadians too while I was in there. Like I said, I didn't share because it was really long. But I wanted to share some of that, and I'm excited to share it with my little patron family because I know you guys will understand me on the deepest level and allow me to be me and not find it crazy that I am who I am and that I know who I am and that you are finding who you are as well. And there was something I received in my meditative session and connecting with other people's energy and having like a beautiful heart-centered exchange. I trust that you will be shown the signs and synchronicities throughout the rest of your day as well. I trust you will be shown signs and synchronicities throughout your day for your own path. And so thank you so much for sitting with me and talking with me and hanging out with me and going on this crazy journey of life with me. I really appreciate all of the support and all of the love and all of the acceptance. It really does mean a lot to me to be able to be me here truly. So I thank you very much for that, and I encourage the same within you, and anything you want to share that you think is crazy, I won't think it's crazy. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking because I don't have a lot of time, and I will see you guys the next time I sit down and feel called to share with you. Until then, peace.